Hello guys, once again welcome to Achimota Farms, and as usual my name is Fred. Today I'm going to talk to you guys about goat farming, and I know a lot of you have been interested in goat farming. We West Africans, as we know, are way behind when it comes to livestock farming, integrated farming, and that is why today I am still here in Uganda with the amazing people Tina and Griffin, and I'm going to ask them about goat farming and have a real discussion. One thing you guys know we both do very well is being real with you guys. We want to share with you what is happening, and today we're going to talk about some mistakes that they have done that they can teach us. I'm learning and I hope you're learning. So take a time, take a book and take a pen and start jotting some notes. Hi guys, how are you guys doing?
Great. Thanks again for having us.
You're welcome. And if you don't know, this is Value Farm in Uganda. Go to YouTube, type in Value Farm, VALUE Farm, and watch some of their videos. They've been doing an amazing work and I have been learning as well. There's no point just watching one channel. Share the love, guys. Go there and subscribe as well. That will make Tina very happy. She loves those subscriptions, guys. Go make it happen. Let's show them some love, guys.
Oh my God.
Two things that Tina loves: coffee and subscription.
Oh my God! Wow.
Let's make it a day, guys. So, guys, thank you so much once again for having me. And you guys are aware that Achimota Farm just started goat farming.
Absolutely.
You know, we are very new at it. We've been sharing some of our experience of bringing the goats in, building our pen, but it's always important to learn from people that have been there, that have done it. And I know as young as you guys are, you've been moving fast.
We're trying.
And moving fast means making mistakes and learning quick, right? So today we want to talk about those mistakes and what my viewers and myself can learn from it. So what would you say was the first mistake? We're going to talk about 5 mistakes. So what would you say was the first mistake that you made at the early stage?
Mistake number 1. Go for it.
I think the first mistake that we didn't do in the beginning was planting our own grass for the goats. Yes, that is the biggest mistake. We thought, of course, when we bring in the goats, they're just going to free range, and that is it. We didn't think about fattening them. We didn't think about them growing faster. So the grass wasn't there in place in the very first, in the beginning.
And I gotta tell you, to dovetail on that tidbit, that was a massive mistake. That's why we always preach to our followers, our fellow subscribers, you need to grow the feed before you can bring in the flock. And the reason we always stress that, what we learned the hard way, was allowing your goats to free range, especially when they go in the bush, especially when you don't have designated, dedicated actual feeds for them already there, where you can either cut or you can set them free in a particular area, and you can actually have the rotational grazing set. Is that we actually lost a lot of goats that way. Some of them, actually, we had one of our prized female goats that was pregnant. This goat typically delivered between 2 to 3 at a time. It died because it was out in the brush and it ate something that had a tiny poisonous frog, and then within a matter of minutes that goat was dead. And so that was a painful experience, but we've lost so many goats in the bush to snake bites, because we actually, every time you let your goats go out into the bush, into like an uncontrolled setting, it's literally playing Russian roulette with your flock. Because the snakes are there are trees that they can't eat that can easily kill them, they can easily be poisoned. So that was one of the biggest mistakes that we made, and we always try to share with our viewers so that they don't make that same mistake.
Now I think that's powerful, because that's something we both preach very well. And I actually released a video recently about quitting my cattle farm because I couldn't feed them enough, and it all goes back to how prepared I was in terms of feeding, you know, that finished quicker. So guys, this is lesson number 1: plan your food first. And that is why I am here bringing them brachyria grass to solve this issue. And if you're new to this channel and you don't know about brachyria grass, it's a very nutritious seed. Contact the WhatsApp number below and my team will get you some.
Well guys, I gotta tell you guys, I take the loss on this one. One of the biggest mistakes I made was actually purchasing goats from unvetted sellers. And that is the most costly mistake you're gonna make in this business, because let me tell you, until your level of expertise get to the point where you can look at a goat, even when you feel confident enough, even when you have 10, 15 years in the business, you'll never look at a goat and say, oh my God, this is just a pure boar. You can speculate. It may look like a pure boar, it might walk like a pure boar, but unless you know the breeder, because most of that acquisition, that trust, come from the breeder you're purchasing from. And let's face it, most people in this region, I don't know how it is elsewhere, they'll try to pass on a 50% goat to you as a 93 or 97%. And so I made that mistake. You know, I placed my trust in some of the wrong individuals and we paid the price. But again, that's why we're bringing this kind of content, so that you can learn from these mistakes. You know, you should also not just purchase the goats, you should also get their genetics tested. And just in case, you should also look for diseases that may not necessarily show up from a topical level. You might actually have to get blood tests, particularly if you're gonna spend $1,200 to $1,500 USD on a buck. You should definitely know the genetic line is pure. That is actually what they're claiming it for it to be. So obviously the goats know the goat master is here because they're calling my name as I'm speaking here in the background. Those are my peoples back there. So forgive the goat sound in the background. But no, that was a huge mistake, a costly one. And that's why I want to commend you, Fred, and for what you're doing, because for somebody like you who's just now starting to venture into goat farming, my brother, you're doing a wonderful job, because we always preach to everybody, genetics is everything. You know, once you identify the market where you want to go, whether it's going to be for breeding stock or meat production, I know you started out with the local goats, but you quickly leveled up by going to South Africa, by educating yourself, establishing those relationships to get the good genetics. And for what you're doing for Ghana as a region, believe me, for those of you who have never had to go through the process of getting a visa to go to South Africa, the amount of money that you have to invest to import these goats here in Uganda, the amount of money you have to actually, the painstaking process for a Ugandan to get an approved visa just to go to South Africa is unreal. For me, with my passport, I'm very fortunate. But for my partner here, it really actually opened my eyes, because if she's going through this, we know most of you are going through this. So for you to be able to bring the breeds to Ghana, to have it local, to have it on the ground, to make getting into breeding those amazing goats affordable, because let's face it, for the people that are in South Africa, they don't pay $1,500 for those goats.
Nope.
You know, to be able to get it to that price point for the people that are both in West Africa, Ghana, Benin, Togo at some point in the future, Nigeria, it's truly a blessing. But that was one of the biggest obstacles in the beginning, right? Getting the breeds that we thought was what the seller represented, and they misrepresented the facts. So we urge you to go with a vet, or to actually get the genetics tested. And you could just take a sample, send it to your research center, to your university lab. They'll be able to tell you exactly what the genetic breakdown of that animal is, and whether or not it's the percentage they're claiming for it to be.
Or buy it from us.
Even better.
We have done that steps for you guys,
Yeah.
right? And I know you guys are also thinking about importing goats.
Absolutely. No, we are. We will 100%. We're gonna go and import not just goats, but we're also gonna be importing the darker sheep breeds as well to Uganda.
Good.
And so, yeah, we're definitely on that track.
Yeah, right. So I think that's a very key point, because if you're really gonna do farming and you're serious, then you know your breed is a huge factor
It's
of
everything.
it, right? Because we all know the local goats, how small they are, and the price tag that they have. You know, you're gonna put the same efforts, the same management, the same housing into that. And I have a goal that in 3 months I'm selling. You know, you can compare that to your local. So thank you for pointing that out. I think that is very key, and I hope you guys are still taking notes. But this is amazing. I'm excited for mistake number 4. Keep on getting better and better. So let's see. It's still not giving us mistakes number 4. They are there, guys. Be real. You know, I know Valley Farm supporters are watching us. So let's see.
No, we spoke about that
We
before.
spoke about
So
structures maybe, but that wasn't our mistake in person because.
well, yeah.
But people make such
Yeah.
mistakes.
So guys, I want to make sure this is not our mistake, but this is a very common mistake we hope you guys can avoid because, you know, you will find a lot of content on YouTube. Just because it's on YouTube don't mean it's accurate. That's why we always urge you guys to do your own research.
True.
The number one mistake that I see when aspiring goat farmers are starting, they don't understand the value of the structure, particularly as it pertains to goats.
Yeah.
Goats are not meant to live in water.
Yeah.
Goats are not meant to live on the ground. Granted, the only goats that are meant to be on the ground are the wild goats that are living on the mountaintop, and even then they are at elevated altitude, right? They're not on flat grass, they're not on flat land. So if you're gonna get into goat farming as a serious profession, we understand everybody's budget is not the same.
True.
We truly urge you in considering building an elevated goat structure. Why? Because when the goats urinate, you don't want them standing in their own urine. Not only that, if there's nowhere for the actual urine to go, that ammonia, goat has very, very sensitive respiratory systems.
Yeah.
They're not meant to be standing and ingesting and even smelling their own, byproducts. So make sure you build an elevated goat platform structure. Make sure it's actually well ventilated, right? And make sure you keep that place clean. Just because you have an elevated structure don't mean your work stops there. You still have to keep that structure clean.
Sure.
You still have to make sure that your staff have a protocol to follow what they're supposed to do when they disinfect that house, right? Because the elevation is gonna help you, particularly when the sunlight hit it every single morning. It will definitely, the light will be your best disinfectant. But then also, you should also do the dutiful by going back to sweep and at time do a full disinfect of the actual structure itself, because the kids are highly susceptible to getting sick. And of course, you got to make sure keeping goats on the ground comes with a lot more expenses. You're going to end up with the hoofs getting rotted. You're also going to end up with the goats themselves not being sanitary. The parasites and pathogens live on the ground.
True.
And of course, you want to make sure that when you bring a buyer to your farm, they see your animals living in a sanitary condition. Because you don't want to have somebody come there ready to spend big dollars at your farm and they see the condition of your animals and you turn that buyer off. They will never tell you they turned off. They're going to tell you they're going to come back or they're going to think about it, but they've seen something they don't like. And don't let the housing be what costs you money.
No.
That is so true.
I agree with you. And this is, we've never talked about goat house,
Never.
but both of us have our goat house very elevated.
Yeah.
I have my actually 2 steps. So
It's
they have
okay.
to go down and then they go again,
Yeah, of
right?
course.
And to be honest, I think I watched a video that you did interviewing a lady in your goat pen. I think it was one of your popular videos.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I actually saw the way you've demarcated it.
Yes, we did.
And right there, I was like, that's what I'm going to do.
Oh, wow.
So-
Yeah, you need
That's
to
awesome.
really demarcate. Of
Yes.
course, you separate the kibs alone, the backs alone, the
Yeah.
doors alone.
Yeah.
Yeah, and also the thing about demarcating this or separating the pen, it helps the goats to really live in a spacious place, because most of them really fight a
Yeah.
lot. So at least if you divide them according to how they're friendly to one another,
Yeah.
it saves your goats, because they're goats that are really very rowdy.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
fight a lot. so-
I watched that video and I was like, she's right. I'm gonna pick that from her.
Yeah.
Right. But I have not seen a full pen of yours. But inside, I saw the demarcation and I was like, exactly. So I did that. And talking about that mistake, right? I felt like the same thing happened to me, because when I even came from the US, my team had already built my goat pen.
I saw that one.
I was communicating with them,
Yeah.
right? But the vision was still not very clear.
Yeah.
So I had to remove even how they did the flooring and do new
you
flooring
Yeah.
and everything, right?
Yeah.
Because exactly, it's something that could cost you a lot, with all the infection and so on. So thank you for sharing that. What is the final mistake advice that you want to give to people that are in goat farming or wants to go into goat farming?
Guys, when my partner touched on this slightly prior in the mistake number 4, but we want to make sure we focus on this as well. When you are in goat farming or getting into goat farming, don't just think of the structure for your flock. you also have to think of what's going to make you a successful farmer, which is the offsprings. The offsprings, when you have those kids, that's like your profit margin. So the only way you're going to make sure that you want to protect them, and I know this may sound cruel, but the smart thing to do is to make sure you have a separate pen specifically for those kids, because we've lost plenty of kids in the beginning. Again, this goes back to poor management and lack of knowledge in the beginning, where we left the kids to sleep with their mom, to go graze with their mom when they were much too young. And in reality, you know, when goats get startled, they will step on anyone or anything. And so we've lost a great number of kids because of that mistake. So a way to really mitigate that is to make sure, even if it's within the same pen, you want to have a room that's specifically for the kids. Make sure that room is insulated, because the kids don't really fare well when it gets too cold. So that's like one of the biggest things that we hope you can avoid, because you know, the worst thing is to see a very beautiful, healthy kid, all of a sudden they're trying to crawl with a broken back, and then you have to do the unthinkable, right, to put that animal out of its misery. So we urge you to actually truly, you don't need a lot of space. You know, we're not telling you to build this equal size kid pen as to your standard flock pen for your flock, but you should definitely make sure that you have that place separated, and the way you clean that space is going to be very different from the space that you let for the general population of your goats. Because the kid pen needs more care. And in fact, when we started to see the turnaround at Value Farm with the growth of our flock, was when we actually hired specific people just to take care of those kids. Because, you know, again, I'm not taking any shots at anyone, but just know a lot of the farmers at your farm, a lot of your herds people, you know, they're there to do a job. You know, they're there to just be present, but let's face it, not all employees are created equally. And what we discovered a lot of the time, some of the kids were not being fed the way they were supposed to, because they did not get that individual care. So when we brought in somebody else to actually literally be the kid's hand, like they literally would, in fact, when you get there tomorrow morning, he will be in the pen. He'll be there with like 25 to 30 kids, making sure they're all getting fed, making sure that, you know, all the kids are matched up with the right mom. And sometimes, in rare occurrences, we used to have kids that would just die of starvation because the mothers would reject them. But now with this person there, he can definitely guide those kids to another mother who's willing to be a surrogate to feed those kids. In fact, just last week, we saw one of the kids that his mom passed away when the kid was barely a week old. And now this kid is what, almost a month and a half. He's looking like a giant thanks to the emperor. And he's like, yeah, that's the one that the mother died. I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. In the past, that kid would have died. But now they're surviving and thriving. So if you can get that extra attention on making sure that if you have it in your budget, or maybe your budget is not there, but make sure you pay special attention to the kids, because without the kids, your flock can't grow and you're not going to get to profitability.
That is so true.
That's very insightful. You know, most of us haven't even thought about that yet, because, you know, we are now thinking about sourcing the goats and pen and pasture and so on. So that's very informative, you know, information for us to have. Tina, do you want to add anything?
Yes. One important thing farmers out there should really take note of is records. Whenever you're going to buy these goats from wherever farm you're going to, make sure you get the records of the goats that you're getting, the vaccination, the dewormers that you've used before, because you don't want to go with the goat and within a few weeks it dies. You've spent a lot of money, so you need to make sure at least you get the vaccination card already, or the schedule that I've used already, so that you do not do make the mistake again of losing the animal.
One last thing I want to add, I don't want to make this a super long video, but this is extremely important. Even when you make the acquisition of the new flock right to your farm, guys, you should also ask the manager or the owner of the goats themselves the actual diet of the goats, what they eat, because based on the region that you're going to bring the goats, if you purchase the goats from the east and you here on the west, they might not have the same shrubs, they might not have the same grass. So you need to know what intermediary should you use. I know when you brought your goats from South Africa, you had to feed them, because most of those goats out there, they're used to eating silage, they're used to eating hay, because they don't have the abundance of grain we have here in Uganda and parts of Ghana. So you have to make sure that you understand the feeding plan, because that can definitely be a huge loss if you don't manage it accordingly.
So, I'm amazing, guys. I hope you guys are, wild and inspired. I'm like, okay, I need to get back to Ghana now, and start ticking the boxes on some of the things I need to do. But thank you guys so much. You guys have been amazing. And West Africa, I hope you are learning. Please write in the comment below. Let me know what you guys are thinking. We are in East Africa, and we're continuing to learn and to change the perception of agriculture and how we can improve livestock farming in West Africa and in Africa in general. This is Seven Share Farms, and thank you so much for watching, guys.
Bye.
Bye.